In this video, we will discuss your operation planning. Once you have determined your market, crop, system type, and facility, it will be time to plan for your production. Beyond the walls of your facility or greenhouse, decisions on materials, labor, and equipment will be important to your operations. Many of these decisions will be based on the crop and system type you choose, and will help shape the type of equipment and labor you will need. Let's begin by discussing considerations you will need to make for the crop you will grow. Asking the questions, how will I sow my seeds? Where in my facility will I germinate and sprout my crop? Do I need to transfer seedlings or plugs into my growing system? Does my process require equipment, labor, or both? How will I harvest my crop? What practices, equipment, and materials do I need to consider during post-harvest handling? What certifications and/or regulations must be met to sell my product? The answer to these and other questions will help to determine your operation needs. One way to approach your operation planning is to think of it as 4 main stages: installing, optimizing, maintaining, and troubleshooting. Once you have chosen the production plan, you will need to install that plan. Once installation is complete, it will be important to optimize your process to increase efficiency. Including maintenance and troubleshooting procedures will be important to the longevity of your operations. This will not just improve your process, but also make your product more consistent for the consumer. Different systems and crops require different handling. Nutrient film technique systems, or NFT, tend to require more physical labor than other types of hydroponic systems. The reason for this is because young seedling plugs need to be transferred to different size and space troughs throughout their growth cycle. Typically, seeds are sown and germinated in small trays that may require lighting. Once seedlings are vigorous enough, they are moved into the greenhouse and eventually the NFT system. Since NFT systems often have increasingly spaced troughs for the various plant stages, more hands-on labor is needed to move the maturing plant into channels with larger plant spacing. A float system or deep water culture system known as DWC that uses rafts can implement labor or automated equipment depending on the crop type. Because there are rafts specifically made to be fed through machinery that can sow and harvest many plants at the same time, this process can cut down on the amount of labor needed during this part of your crop production. However, depending on what you are able to spend on initial equipment, you may need to rely on physical labor to sow, germinate, transfer plants, and harvest by hand. Vertical systems typically require hands-on labor in most setups, including media systems. Although highly automated vertical systems can be implemented, there is usually a much higher startup cost, where automation and lighting need to be installed. Also, a major consideration of these systems can be maintenance cost, where media used to support the plant growth will need to be replaced frequently. If you choose to have a fully automated greenhouse or warehouse space, also known as Controlled Environment Agriculture or CEA, you may need less hands-on labor, but startup expenses, equipment, and materials may have a significant cost, initially and during maintenance. You will likely need to implement lighting, new technology, and different air circulation requirements, which may require the expertise of different professionals like engineers and horticulturists. Labor and equipment are not the only considerations for your operations. Overhead and maintenance are also important aspects to consider. Overhead costs include recurring expenses that support your operations, like utilities, rent or mortgage, and insurance. In addition, maintenance will be important to your operations like managing equipment, troubleshooting, upkeeping your greenhouse, and potentially other upgrades as your farm grows. What's the bottom line? There are recurring expenses and costs associated with your facility that are important to keep operations running. Once these decisions have been made, It's now time to look at how to manage your product and even how that product will get to the consumer. Harvesting, packaging, and storage are all important to your crop's life cycle, especially in regards to food safety. It is important to integrate your food safety program into every aspect of your crop handling. This includes your food safety procedures and practices from seed to harvest to packaging to storage and to transport. It is included in your worker training and will need to be documented day to day. We hope you have enjoyed this video series on farming foundations and hydroponics. Please reference our online resources for additional materials to get you started in hydroponic farming.